Hi, everyone, and welcome to I Can Podcast. I am your host, Candace Lewis, and here we believe that with the right guidance and with a strong faith in Jesus Christ, you can achieve more than you can ever imagine. Hence the name I Can. Let's get this started. This is actually my very first podcast, my very first official podcast. So I'm excited about this. When I was thinking about what I was going to talk about for the very first time, I actually asked the Lord, I was like, Lord, what should I talk about? And he said, talk about me. So I have so much wonderful stories to tell you about God. But there's one that is just very strong in my mind. And this is the story and this is the first time I realized, let me just tell you the story. And this is titled How I Almost Became an Atheist. Yes, I almost became an atheist. So, just a little backstory. My mom and her immediate family are Christian. But my mom herself, she was Christian. She always claimed Christianity, but she was not religious, so she did not go to church. She did not talk about Jesus in the household. There was nothing really to tie us and her to Christianity besides us saying that we were Christians, and that's it. And we went to church every now and then, but it was very far and in between. So maybe we'd go to church once a year, and that's a maybe, you know. And yeah, that's all I knew about God. I believed in God. I didn't have a relationship with him. I didn't know much of anything about God besides that I believed God was real. And I knew a little bit about the Bible. I had Bibles. There were Bibles at home that I would try to read, but I did not understand anything that was in the Bible at all. Like, I would read it and I'm just like, okay, I'm reading the words, but I'm not understanding what is being said, you know? So it was kind of like, then don't even understand the Bible. But I did believe that God was real. And yeah, that was basically it. My childhood was pretty much okay. There was my mom did the best she could. And I loved her. She all loved I love I still love my mom. But as a kid, I really, mom was it, and I really appreciated her and still do. My mom is great. Absolutely. Mom, if you're watching, I love you. um so yeah, when I was 12, around 12 years old, I started having really bad thought issues. And I always said it was like unwanted thoughts. I would have thoughts that I didn't want to think. And I actually thought that I was going crazy. I was thinking some crazy stuff. Like, just random. Like, and these thoughts would normally come when I'm like not doing anything, when I'm like just sitting down minding my own business at home. That's when these thoughts would come. And yeah, they were very strange thoughts. When I was at school, I was fine. I didn't have any thought issues. But when I was at home sitting doing nothing, maybe just watching TV, that's when I had very strange thoughts. And I had, like, I would say I had demonic thoughts. I didn't know it was demonic thoughts. And I mean, I knew there were bad thoughts because I would, maybe I would like curse God or say curse God in my mind or something. But and I knew it was wrong. I just didn't know what I thought I was just going crazy. I was like, why would I curse God? If God, I believe in God and God is a good God, why am I cursing him? I would, so that it's just, it would be thoughts like that in my mind. And even thoughts I can't even think of now. That's how they were off the wall. I would even call some of them like very, very demonic, very satanic thoughts. And like I said, I just thought I was going crazy. I thought I belonged, like, I thought I was like one of those homeless people on the streets that like go mad and like talk crazy stuff. I thought I was one of them. It was the difference between me and them was that I was in a household and I lived in a home with my mom, and they were just on the street. And around that time, also, which was very interesting, my older brother, also developed thought issues, which was very odd. I remember thinking it was odd that we were both having thought issues at the same time. Now, the difference between my brother and I is my brother made it very clear he was having thought issues when me, I didn't let anyone know. No one knew that I was battling thoughts, but everyone knew, of course, with even me, I knew that my brother was battling unwanted thoughts because he did express it. And my mom was very concerned about that. So, as a caring, concerned mom, what did she do? She took him to the doctor, and they prescribed him medication, and and it was a little downhill from there, but we'll talk about that in later episodes. But um yeah, my brother ended up on medication, and I was like, oh my gosh, I should probably be taking medication as well. But there was always a thought that came to my mind, like I would want to tell my mom. And it's so strange because at age 12, and around that age, I told my mom everything. Everything. If I was getting bullied at school, my mom knew. My mom knew. If there was any issues at all with me, I would tell my mother. But this, I did not tell her, which is it was very interesting, that I didn't. But I didn't. Looking back, I know it was God, but anyways, I didn't tell her. And I remember I would just always pray to God. I'm like, God, please take the thoughts away. Please take these thoughts away. Again, I believed in God. So I'm like always asking him, Lord, please take the thoughts away. I don't understand what's going on. Da, da, da. And here's the thing about the thoughts too, is that they subsided. As years went on, as I turned 13, 14, 15, even going into high school, the thoughts really subsided. It wasn't that bad after a while. Or maybe before, right, when I was 12, when it first started, I would have unwanted thoughts like every day. But as time went on, maybe I'd have like an unwanted thought once a month. It subsided. And but every now and then certain things will pop up, and I was like, whoa, just random thoughts, and it's like, whoa, where did that come from? But overall, especially closer to late high school, 11th, 12th grade, I really wasn't having much of any unwanted thoughts. And again, these were like demonic thoughts. Like I was thinking some crazy stuff. Maybe I'll get into it in another episode of what I was actually thinking. But it was rough for me. But I would always pray to God, and again, it subsided. And yeah, so I went all through high school. I was fine, more or less. And my brother was on medication, so he struggled a little bit. If anybody knows about um, medication to heal the mind, it doesn't really heal it. It just more of like creates a band-aid, and it does something to like your hormones, or even your mentality, where it's almost it's just pushing everything down, not necessarily curing the problem. So my brother still battled with thought issues throughout. If anything, it got worse, and the medication made it worse. um and so yeah, I high school came. Now my brother graduated, thank God. My older brother, he's only like 2 years older than us, but he graduated. He really struggled. God bless my brother, because he went through it. He really struggled. Me and my sister and I, we made it. We were fine. We graduated. After high school, I was very I was very lost. I did not know what I was going to do with my life. Everyone seemed to have everything planned out, and me, I'm just like, I have no idea. And I really, really struggled with trying to figure out who I am and what the heck am I doing. I also had, I started hanging out with certain friends, and even like I didn't even understand what type of friendship I should be pursuing with people. Some friendships didn't work, some didn't, and it was a very confusing time in my life, and I struggled a lot, like out of high school, right out of high school, so 18, 19, just trying to find myself and where I fit in the world. And I remember um, one day I was 19. I woke up out of bed. The thoughts that were gradually going away, one came back. Immediately when I woke up, I had an unwanted thought. And I remember I just felt so anxious and I got so bothered because here's why. All my life, when I was having these unwanted thoughts, I always prayed to God and I said, God, please take these thoughts away. Please take these thoughts away. I always prayed that. And the thoughts never really went away. They subsided, but they never really went away. So this day when I woke up and I immediately had an unwanted thought, I was furious. I was upset. I was anxious, I was upset. And I said, is God real? If he was real, why do I keep having these thoughts? Why do these thoughts keep coming in my mind? I don't want these thoughts and I keep thinking them. And if God is real, why would he not take these thoughts away from me? If he was real, if God is God, why am I still having these thoughts, right? So I was I was over it. I was over it. And I said, I'm still in bed. I just woke up. I'm still in bed. I shared a room with my sister, so she's in the room, but she's sleeping. And I remember I said this prayer. I said, Lord, if you are real, and I really meant this prayer. This prayer, this prayer really came from the core of me because at this time I was going to make a decision, and my decision was I was not going to believe in God anymore. So I said, Lord, if you are real, let me know, because right now I don't believe. And let me tell you, I knew without a doubt I was going to be an atheist. I knew it because how could, how could, how could there be this great God that everyone's talking about? And I'm still struggling with these thoughts, they're crazy thoughts. They're crazy. And I'm like, how could I be struggling with this still? And I knew, how can I, how I can, how you can picture is like picture like I'm on like and there's a line, there's a room, and there's a line, and I'm on this line. So this is a line. I'm on this line. This side is saying I don't believe, I'm an atheist, and this side is I believe in God. I'm literally on the line, and I'm about to take a foot into I'm going to be an atheist. I'm about to take a step into I'm going to be an atheist. I knew I was going to be an atheist. And so I said that prayer. And when I said the prayer, something something happened that I cannot really explain without giving a it's like I have to I can't explain it how it actually happened, but I can explain it how it seemed to how it comes across to how it would come across to someone. So for instance, I said the prayer, right? And I immediately how can I say? Pretend you guys know lighters, like the lighter people use to light cigarettes. So pretend your whole life, right? Pretend your whole life you're trying to light the lighter, and it's sparking. Like sparks will fly if the fire doesn't start. So your whole life you're trying to light the lighter, and it's just sparking, it's sparking. But all of a sudden, the flame is on. That's exactly what happened to me. It's like all my life I'm trying to light the lighter, and there's little sparks flying. It doesn't quite light. But this time, a flame was there, and I said, "That's different." That's how I can explain to you of how I was feeling at that moment. I said, "That's different." And I remember I got a piece of paper, and I still was in bed. There was like a book by my bed, and I was writing. And as I was writing, I was starting to realize God was real. So I'm writing, and I'm writing that I believe God is real, or something like God is real. And that little flame that flickered on inside of me started to grow. Now, this was quite odd to me because I'm just like, what is this? And and then like this thing was coming out of my chest, and it was like, I remember thinking, I was like, I felt this before. Like somewhere down the line in my life, I felt this. Every now and then I felt this feeling I felt before. Just didn't know what it was, but now it's like, now I'm like correlating it to God, right? Because it's happening now. And it's starting in my chest, and this thing just keeps getting bigger and bigger. As I'm writing, I had to stop. I had to stop because I now am believing God is real, and I feel like I need to tell somebody. That's what was going on in my head. I was like, I need to tell somebody. I need to tell my mom. I need to tell somebody that God is real. So as I'm getting up out of bed, because this feeling is starting to grow over me, it's almost like covering me. I'm trying to push it down because all my life I tried to push down certain emotions, push down certain things, and I was trying to push this down, but this thing wasn't being pushed down. It was, I'm trying to do this. I'm trying to push it down. And this thing is like bursting out of me, right? And I got up, and I had to kind of like take a deep breath, like, you know. And the thing that was growing in my heart, it was like in my heart area, this flame that started in my heart area started to like overcome my entire being. It came up here. How that's the best I could say. It started from my chest, and it came up over my head, and just engulfed me. And when I got up, I just feel it engulfing my entire body. And I'm like freaking out. It's like, what is this? I have to tell someone that God is real, because at this time also I'm hearing, here I am, here, here I am, here I am. Mind you, my prayer was, God, if you are real, let me know, because I don't believe. I don't believe. And I got up out of bed, and I'm like, okay, and it's and here's the thing, it's so interesting for me to tell the story, because I'm trying to tell the story so you can understand what happened to me. I'm hearing, here I am. I'm telling you, I'm hearing, here I am, but it's not an audible voice. It's inside of me. It's like it's a knowing that God is saying, here I am. It's not an actual voice. It didn't come to me as an actual voice. It was just, I know God is saying, here I am, here I am. And I got up because I just had this unbelievable urge to tell somebody God is real. So I'm walking over to my mom's room, and as I'm walking over to my mom's room, mind you, this thing has engulfed me. And what I would say it was like a love like engulfed me. I'm walking over to my mom's room, and I'm like, my eyes are big. I'm like, I gotta get this out. And I'm walking over to my mom's room, and before I could even say anything, I'm like, Mom, and I'm walking. I said, Mom, and I fell to the floor. Boom! Like my knees hit the ground, and I started bawling. I couldn't even get the words out of my mind, out of my mouth. I bawled like I was like Kim Kardashian, ugly cry. You know, I was bawling. Like what? And what was happening to me at that moment was I felt so much love. I felt so much love. And God was just saying, here I am, here I am. I felt so much love. And it was coming out of my chest. And I remember I just felt like I was gonna die. That's how much love I was feeling. I felt like I was gonna die. Like I had to like, like take a really deep breath because I was like, I'm gonna die right now. Like I'm gonna die right now. Like I was just whew. And I remember I was bawling, I was bawling, I was like, ooh. And I'm trying to tell her, I want to tell her what's happening to me. I want to tell her what's going on, what I got up to tell her, but it wasn't coming out because I was just crying so much. I was like, ooh, ooh, and I'm like, she's like, what's going on? I'm like, I'm trying to get it out. It was hard because, it was really hard to get it out. And I was like, um, and then finally, because God just filled me. God was all over me. And finally, I just felt a lift, like whatever had came over me lifted so I can talk because I could not talk. It was just so much power that that was in me that covered me. I could not talk. I could not. And I think I cried for I think I was bawling for like 3 minutes, let's say 3 minutes. So at this point, my knees had hit the ground. So I'm kneeling down. My head is on my mother's thigh because she was sitting in a chair. So, so I'm bawling. My head is on my mother's lap, and eventually God lifted, or God lifted from me. And I said, Mom. She's like, what? She's like, what? Because she's concerned as to why I'm like bawling this much. I was like, did you know God is real? And she said, yes. And I immediately thought to myself, I was like, there's no way she knows God's real. Because if she knew God was real, she would be acting like how I'm acting right now. She would be crying if she knew God was as real as I knew him to be. She's like, yes, yes. And I said, Mom, he's really real. She's like, I know, I know. And I was like, in my mind, I was like, she doesn't know. She doesn't know. She doesn't know. And I was like, okay, okay. And then I don't remember really what happened after that. I think I was talking to my mom a little bit more, maybe just telling her how real God was. And then I remember I was going back into my room, and I the presence of God was just like over me. Like I just felt God, you know, like my eyes were just open to the realness of God. And I remember I was like even asking him, and this is just all in my head right now. I was in my room, and I was asking him. I was like, Lord, where were you this whole time? Like throughout my whole life, where were you? And I immediately I was getting answers. He was like, I was always there. I was always there. And one thing I also asked him, which I'm like, why would I ask him that? But I mean, I guess why not ask him that? But I I asked him in my mind, and it's so interesting. I didn't ask him with words. That's another thing that's interesting. I didn't ask the Lord these questions with words. It's almost like my spirit asked and he answered me back. And he didn't answer me back in words. He answered me back and I just knew that this was the answer. If this is even making sense. I didn't hear God's voice. I knew God was telling me something. Not I heard God telling me something. I knew he was telling me something. If this makes any sense to you. And one thing I was asking the Lord was, or my spirit asked him was, like, are you male or female? Like, are you a man in the sky? And take take this how you can, because this was revealed to me. So read your scriptures. But I remember, but God told me, He's like, I'm male and female, not man and woman. I'm male and female. And I was like, oh, I'm gonna leave it just like that. That's all God told me. Um, read your scriptures, figure it out. But that was revealed to me. That's out of revelation. I know that. Um, in the Bible, I don't think it explicitly says that, but through revelation, this is what God told me, and I was like, oh. And I remember that day, or even because God's presence like lingered over me for a few days. I remember that actually particular day, I opened up the Bible, and mind you, I could never understand the Bible. My whole life, I did not understand what was in it. Like, I would read it, but I don't know what this is saying. And I read the Bible. Let me tell you, I understood everything it was saying. I was like, what? What? This is actually making sense to me. I remember, like, it's almost like the words were just flying up off of the page, and I understood. I was like, oh, I understand. And also, let me tell you another thing. Let me go back a little bit. When I asked the Lord to reveal Himself to me, because at that time I was having unwanted thoughts. Immediately, when that flame flickered on inside of me, immediately the thoughts went away. Gone. I couldn't even think a bad thought if I wanted to. I couldn't think an evil thought if I wanted to. And I realized that the thoughts were not mine. Oh my goodness, thank God. The whole time I'm thinking I'm crazy. And now I realize the thoughts weren't mine. They were coming from a whole other source. And so it was a relief for me to know. So I know I'm not losing my mind. But yeah, the thoughts went away just like that. And I was like, that's interesting. So I couldn't even think on one thought if I wanted to. So the whole day, I'm like on cloud nine. Like, God is with me. God is with me. And I remember, so after I read the Bible, understood it. I remember I went outside. And the trees, I looked up at the trees. I was like, the trees are alive. The trees are alive. Like, I was literally like the trees looks like they were, it's like the trees knew that God was around. The trees looked like they were like singing to God. They just knew God was there. And I was just like, wow, the trees are alive. It was like everything just looked brand new. The leaves were greener than I could imagine. The sky was blue, but it was different blue. It was blue. It just my eyes were just opened up to just, it's like God just like cleared my eye, like widened my eyes, and I could see clearly now. But yes, I know specifically the trees were, they were alive, and they were I could even say they were sparkling. They knew that God was there. Um, and yeah, and you think that after God did such a big reveal to me that I would have given my life to Christ and went full force Jesus way, and that did not happen. I still did my did what I wanted to do, and I didn't fully give my life to Christ till like years later, which I'll get into in another video. But yeah, I'm just grateful that the Lord met me there, because I knew I was going to be an atheist. I knew it, and God even He gave me like a vision of who I would have become if I didn't believe in Him, and I I would have been horrible. I would have been horrible. I don't even want to talk about that, but maybe I will in a actually I could talk about it now, but God showed me who I would have become if I didn't believe in Him, and I would have been a horrible person. I wouldn't have been the best sister I could be, the best daughter I could be. I would have been very lost, and I'm just so happy that God met me there. I'm so happy. He didn't have to show up at that moment in time when I asked for Him to show up. He didn't have to, and He did. And I just thank God. All glory, all glory to the Most High God, because He really saved me. And that moment really, really anchored me in God. Meaning, I did not believe in Him after that. I knew God was real after that, even though I it backslid and did, and still doing the worldly stuff. No one could convince me that God wasn't real. I knew it. I knew it in my heart of hearts. And I just thank you, God. I just thank you, God, for just coming to me at my lowest point in time and just revealing yourself to me, because you didn't have to do that. And you could have left me there, and I could have did and become this this different person. And I'm happy He met me. I'm happy He met me. All glory and honor to the Most High God, Jesus Christ. Thank you. Thank you. So that is my story of how I almost became an atheist. I am not an atheist at all. As you can see, I love God. I love Jesus, and He has done so much for me. He has changed my mind. He has renewed my mind. He has given me purpose. And I'm so happy I got to share this story with you. Keep watching for more stories like this, some advice. I'm going to have some guest speakers soon, coming very, very soon. So stay tuned, and I'll see you on the next episode.